Hello, my name is Thomas Brennan. I am a reflexologist in private practice. I'm presenting today some ideas about the relationship between reflexology and Chinese medicine, specifically acupressure. So I wrote up my title up here, Reflexology is Not Chinese Medicine. Chinese medicine and reflexology are completely different paradigms. I have printed out a definition of what a paradigm is. A paradigm is a set of assumptions, concepts, values, and practices that constitutes a way of viewing reality for the community that shares them, especially in an intellectual discipline. So for the purposes of this discussion, we could say Chinese medicine is, at least in part, an intellectual discipline, and reflexology is, at least in part, an intellectual discipline. I will start with a brief discussion of the history of each of these paradigms. Within the literature of Chinese medicine, it is considered that Chinese medicine as a area of practice and intellectual understanding goes back 5,000 years. Now, there are discussions on that, but it is reasonably true that the history of Chinese medicine is thousands of years. The history of reflexology, on the other hand, is less than 200 years. Now, the research that reflexology was based on is, of course, more than 200 years. But the actual creation of reflexology is based on the work of one person, Dr. William Fitzgerald, who was an MD medical doctor in the latter part of the 19th century in Connecticut in the United States. Following Dr. Fitzgerald's development of what he called reflex zone therapy, one of his students, a woman named Eunice Ingham, developed what we now call reflexology. So the history of reflexology as we know it really starts with Eunice Ingham and two books that she wrote in the beginning of the 20th century. So one in the 1930s and another in the 1960s. And that's really the beginning of the history of reflexology as we know it. Really, really different from the thousands of years of history for Chinese medicine. Now I'll give a brief discussion of the theories of Chinese medicine with regard to acupressure and reflexology. Chinese medicine has the point of view that life and health depend on the flow of qi through specific pathways in the body. In the English language, those pathways are often called meridians. Meridian is a word that means line, and it's easily understood in the English language. In Chinese medicine, it's more accurate to say channels, which are three-dimensional pathways for the flow of qi, which in Chinese medicine is considered to be a real substance. In reflexology, the original work by Dr. Fitzgerald was based on the idea of the mapping of the nervous system, and his idea, subsequently the work of Eunice Ingham, the idea that each organ and tissue in the body is connected to the feet through the nervous system, and that by acting on those nerve endings in the feet, we can produce health in the body. In acupressure or Chinese medicine, very different. It's about the flow of qi, and the work is on points throughout the body. The idea is to correct the flow of qi through the body. There are confusions that happen based on, I think, the use of the word life force in the reflexology literature. That can sometimes be interchanged with the word qi. So when a person is discussing say, Chinese medicine-based ideas, theories, and health practices, the term qi is sometimes translated into English as life force, and then the term life force is sometimes used in the literature in reflexology. There is a difference because the reflexology originally based on the work in the nervous system and then expanded by various practitioners to include different other concepts. So, the closest way of looking at Chinese medicine and reflexology together is reflexology is something like an image system. So some of the systems in Chinese medicine. Now, Chinese medicine is not monolithic. That means that it's not like one thing. It's a huge, as you can imagine, over thousands of years, huge numbers of different ideas and ways of seeing it and ways of working with it have developed. So it's not monolithic. In Chinese medicine, there are systems called image systems. And those systems have the idea that the work can be seen through the image of the body and the image of the points and channels. Now that's I'm not really going to go into that, but the purpose for my purpose for mentioning it is that reflexology can also be seen as an image system. So whether it's ear reflexology or hand reflexology or foot reflexology, there's an image of the areas of the body, specifically the organs and structure of the body, which is presented and overlaid on the reflex zone. So if that reflex zone is the face or the ears or the feet or the hands, an image of the body is laid over that image of the part of the body. And then that's how we determine where the reflexes are. So in that way, both systems use image systems as part of the work. And again, that could be confusing. Now, another way in which confusion can occur is the use of microsystems in Chinese medicine. So, in Chinese medicine, there are several microsystems. A microsystem means that one area of the body can be used through acupuncture or acupressure to treat the entire body. So there are systems, for instance, which use only points on the scalp to treat every condition of the body and mind. Only points on the ear to treat the entire body and mind. Or only points on the feet. Or there are several systems, so there's a bunch of them. Or only points on the face. Those are microsystems in Chinese medicine. And the microsystem means that they treat the entire body through points on one small area of the body. The use of microsystems in Chinese medicine is similar to reflexology, having is essentially a microsystem of reflex zone therapy. So Eunice Ingham condensed Dr. Fitzgerald's work from the entire body and shrank it down and applied it directly to the feet or the hands. That's, in effect, a microsystem, although it's not called that. Now, this confusion, by the way of the microsystems between reflexology and Chinese medicine, is not limited to reflexology, but it's also found in Chinese medicine in the sense that there are people who will claim that reflexology is a system that originated in Chinese medicine. And that's because, for instance, there are hand systems and foot systems in Chinese medicine, and ear systems. And in fact, auricular reflexology and auricular acupuncture and auricular acupressure. From my point of view, that's kind of a mixing of the two systems, because you can't really separate those two systems into one or the other. And so at least from my point of view, that seems to be true. So that's a way in which confusion occurs. It is also, I guess, a point of pride in Chinese culture to think that because there are microsystems using only the feet, only the hands, and only the ears in Chinese medicine, that therefore it's assumed or thought or hoped that somehow that's where reflexology has its origin. Now, again, the history of reflexology, there is no record of any lineage of reflexology being derived from Chinese medicine. There's no paper trail or connectedness in the literature. The literature for reflexology begins with the work of Dr. Fitzgerald and goes to the work of Eunice Ingham, and then kind of explodes from there through numerous different authors in reflexology.